Hello, hello, darlings. I am ranking one of my favorite Mariah Carey albums today, Butterfly. This is one of my all time favorite albums. It's either my second or third favorite Mariah album, depending on the day, but I am just so excited to talk about this one. This is literally one of my most personal albums. Like, seriously, every time I listen to it, I'm crying. Like, there's never been a time that I've listened to this album and I wasn't in my feelings. It is just one of those albums. So I am going to be ranking the songs from my personal least favorites to my personal favorites. So this isn't what I think is objectively the worst to objectively the best song. These are just how I like all of them. So number 12 is The Beautiful Ones. The Beautiful Ones is always one that I skip, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm in the right mood, I won't, but I'm usually not in the mood. My whole thing is, it's a little too slow and a little too plodding for me, and I don't mind a good slow song, but it needs to, like, emotionally fulfill me, and The Beautiful Ones never really did. I think the fact that it's 7 minutes long doesn't really help either. It just feels like it does go on for a little too long. I don't think necessarily enough happens in it to justify being 7 minutes, and that's why it's my least favorite. It just feels a little monotonous, is all. It's not bad in the slightest. Like, my whole thing with Mariah Carey is I genuinely believe she has the best discography of any artist. I really do believe that. She's not my all-time favorite. She's in my top 5. But, like, objectively speaking, I literally think she has the best discography of any artist I've ever listened to. So I don't think she has one bad song. The Beautiful Ones is very, very far from being a bad song. It's not even mediocre. It's still very good, but it's just simply not one that I go back to a lot. I also was always confused as to why it was on Butterfly. I never really totally understood, like, the creative decision. Like, why cover this song? I'm sure it meant something to Mariah, like, it had to have. But what does it really add to the story of this album? I was always kind of unclear on that, and I'm sure that it does, and I'm sure there was a creative intention behind it, but it always felt kind of weird and out of place to me on this album. I don't know why, it just never struck me as belonging on this exact record. And it's not like it sounds out of place. Like, I think sonically it sounds like a Butterfly song, but it just doesn't really make sense to me thematically, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's why The Beautiful Ones is my least favorite on Butterfly. It's still a good song though. I'm not trying to say that. Is it a skip for me? Sure, but it's still a quality song. Number 11 is Fly Away, the Butterfly reprise. I enjoy the song a lot. It's just a fun little cute upbeat dancey cut. Another thing I love about Mariah is when she does a remix, like, it's a totally different song. Whenever she has a remix, it's not just an extra verse is added or there's some different production in some parts. No, it's a whole transformed moment. And that's what I really like about Fly Away. It's a totally different song from Butterfly. And I don't like it as much as the original Butterfly, obviously, but it does its job very well as a fun dance cut. I love her runs at the end. She just sounds so incredible. Like, seriously, she is giving you all the vocals, all the drama. It just sounds so amazing. And the beat of the song itself is just really fun. It's that really kind of pulsating, fun, dancey beat. And I love that. I love a good dance moment. This isn't necessarily what I come to Butterfly for though, which is why I do rank it lower. I feel like when I think of Butterfly, I think of the really intimate songwriting, and that's not what this song is giving you, but I don't need it to. That's the thing. It does its job well. Like, it exists to be a dance remix of Butterfly, and it does that flawlessly. So yeah, if I'm in the mood for a good remix, then this is one to put on. Number 10 is Whenever You Call. Whenever You Call always sounded like the torch passing song of Mariah's career to me. I feel like this is a compromise between the newer sounds that Butterfly introduced and her older sounds of her earlier career records. Because I feel like I could totally hear the song on Music Box, Like, this to me has always been like a classic Mariah Carey early ballad. But with that being said, it doesn't sound out of place on Butterfly at all, I don't think. And obviously, it's just so gorgeous. These are some of the best vocals on the album because Butterfly isn't necessarily where Mariah was belting. I feel like she had done all the huge belting and whistle notes in her earlier records, and now she wanted to have a more laid back atmosphere for Butterfly. But I do think Whenever You Call definitely harkens back to the older style of Mariah, where it was your more traditional big pop ballad. And I have nothing wrong with that. I love her early stuff too. So Whenever You Call is, like I said, the compromise between the newer style of Butterfly and her older stuff. And it honestly is just a gorgeous, gorgeous song. Her vocals, do I even need to say it? Like, obviously, they are immaculate. I mean, her voice just really soars in this one. It really, really soars. Like, she is taking you to heaven, and you just believe it. Like, she will be there whenever you call. This is like guardian angel Mariah to me. This is the song that you listen to when you want to feel like someone is there for you. That sounded really sad. No, but like, it actually just does sound like that. It sounds like a comfort play song. Like, she will be there whenever you call. It kind of reminds me of Anytime You Need a Friend. Like, I think thematically they're both very similar. And even sound-wise, I feel like, again, they are these big, really huge, grand pop ballads. And I love that about both of them. And Whenever You Call is a very, very beautiful song. Number 9 is Baby Doll. Baby Doll is such a cute song. I just think the song is absolutely adorable. It is such a vibe, and I think that this is where the album really shines because it has that perfect blend of extremely detailed and intimate songwriting, and also just the beautiful harmonies and vocals that come through during the chorus, and her breathy delivery throughout the entire song. She sounds sexy, but not in a way that she's trying to be sexy. Like, it is just this very intimate kind of vibe that she creates in it. And I think that it makes the song personal and also very, like, cute. Like, there's just so much charm to the song that I think she brings across so effortlessly. It does just sound like this cute little moment that she wants to be sharing with this man. Like, she's saying, come lay me down, fold me in your arms, cover me with velvet kisses, rock me on, and whisper softly to me, you wanna be my baby doll. That is just such a, like, sweet kind of sentiment. I feel like it's just a very sweet kind of song. Like, we've all dreamed of having a love like this. And that is what I think Mariah gets across in this song. She's selling you the fantasy, no pun intended, but like the fantasy of the kind of love that she's envisioning for herself, which I think is kind of a running theme on Butterfly. I think that she was obviously escaping a very toxic relationship, and she's sort of going through the emotions of thinking about what kind of love she wants. And Baby Doll to me always struck me as her fantasizing her ideal relationship, and not even relationship as a whole, just like her ideal moment with somebody, her ideal little tiny slice of time that she gets to be intimate with someone who isn't an abusive person. And I think that makes Baby Doll a very, very sweet, sentimental kind of song. And it just sounds absolutely gorgeous, of course. It sounds like such a quintessential Butterfly song. I just feel like if you wanted to explain the vibe of this album, then you would just have to play the song, because I feel like it kind of gets it across. Like, this is the prototypical Butterfly era Mariah song, and I love it for that. This is such a chill bop. Definitely one that you could put on and just kind of vibe to, or you could cry to, like I have many times. It's very versatile in that way. Number 8 is 4th of July, my national anthem, along with Party in the USA. 4th of July is one that I literally have to listen to every 4th of July. Like, it really is a tradition, because how can you not? I mean, she invented Independence Day, amazing how she did that. Like, that's crazy. 4th of July is so utterly gorgeous. Like, it is so insanely beautiful. From the very opening, that little intro with her whistle notes and like that little twinkly sound, it just invites you into this beautiful atmosphere. And then as the song goes along, it really does do a good job of like setting the scene of this cute little 4th of July moment that she's having. Like, so starry-eyed on the flowery hillside, breathless and fervid amid the dandelions. She says fervid, right? That's the word. She has a very big vocabulary. Mariah is a thesaurus, but just that line, I think, is very reflective of how she is so detailed and how she paints a picture. And you really do get that picture of her being with this man on the 4th of July, and they're like watching the fireworks and they're just like lying on the grass. I feel like I'm at a picnic when I listen to the song. Like, I feel like I'm lying on a picnic blanket and there's like lemonade or something by me, and the air is warm, but it's getting dark out and we're starting to see the stars and the fireworks are starting, and you're kind of away from the crowd, but you could still hear like the little kids playing around and like birds chirping and stuff like that. That is what I get from 4th of July. It just really does sound like you're there on that day, but it's not necessarily the festivities going on. It's after the festivities ended and you're sharing this close moment kind of away from all the frenziness. I think it is very magical in that way because it captures such a small moment. And again, like, I'll say it a million times, but Butterfly is so good at that. It's so good at just capturing small, intimate moments. And 4th of July is one of the best examples of that. The only reason that I semi-dock it points is because I always pictured this as the sequel song to Underneath the Stars. And Underneath the Stars is a top 3, or at the very least a top 5 Mariah song for me. And I don't like 4th of July as much, but that's not speaking at all to the song's quality. Like, 4th of July is a 10 out of 10 song, but Underneath the Stars is an 11 out of 10 song, so they're both flawless. Number 7 is The Roof. The Roof is quite possibly Mariah's best written song ever. It's quite possibly her best song ever. If somebody said that this was the greatest Mariah song of all time, like, I respect that opinion. I could totally agree. The Roof is the best example of how Mariah is a storyteller. She literally weaves such a narrative in the song. There's so much detail just jam-packed into literally every single second that it's insane. And again, thesaurus Mariah, like, who is using these words and these terms in like a pop song? Like, she says, and then you casually walked in the room and I was twisted in the web of my desire for you. My apprehension blew away. I only wanted you to taste my sadness as you kissed me in the dark. That is Shakespeare. That is legitimate. Like, I genuinely believe Mariah is one of the best writers of all time, and you just need to point to this song to see that, because that is like straight up like 14th century, like, we learned that in high school, that it was in your English class kind of writing. It literally sounds so classic. It just sounds so timeless. Just the writing alone is so incredibly timeless. And the way that she gets across the emotion in this song, not just through the lyrics, but also through the way that it sounds. This song has kind of a haunting air to it. It just sounds kind of chilling to me. It always has. And I think that's to get the point across of Mariah feeling like she needs to revisit this moment in her life, because it was one of the first moments that she started to feel liberated and she started to finally feel like sexually free. And I think that that is so incredibly powerful, and I just love how she gets that across through the production and just the sonic landscape of the song. It literally sounds like she's desperately yearning to go back to that moment and have those same emotions again and relive that feeling. Like she's saying, every time I feel the need, I envision you caressing me and go back in time to relive the splendor of the rooftop on that rainy night. Shakespeare, she is Shakespeare. That is just so incredibly good writing. And again, the way that it sounds, it really gives you that yearning sensation. Like she is so wanting to go back and relive this moment. And that is what makes the song so great. It's not just the immaculate writing, it is how she literally makes you feel her emotions. It's how she conveys what she is feeling. And that is what makes The Roof so great. It is just one of her best songs, if not her actual best song. It's not my personal favorite off the album, but it is definitely one that I love. When I first heard the song, when I tell you I was floored, like I had heard very good things about it before, because again, this is very often cited as one of her best, and I was like, all right, let me hear it. And when I tell you, like, I was still blown away. Like, my expectations were very high, and it blew past those expectations. I was like, this is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard, and it, like, genuinely is. This, to me, is, like, Taylor's All Too Well, where it's the deep-cut fan favorite, and everyone loves it, and unanimously agrees that it's, like, the best one of their whole discography. Don't tell the Swifties, but I think The Roof absolutely devours All Too Well. I am so sorry. I love All Too Well, but I think The Roof just absolutely eats it alive. I'm sorry. Number 6 is My All. My All is another one that I always kind of considered a transitional song for Mariah, because I can almost see this on one of her earlier records. Like, if I squinted, I think the backbone of the pop ballad Mariah is here. I could actually almost hear this on even her debut album. Like, this doesn't seem like it would sound too out of place there. I think what separates it is that beautiful Spanish guitar and her more breathy delivery, as opposed to the huge high note of her earlier career, which there are big high notes on My All also, but I don't think it's necessarily meant to be this huge vocal showcase. I think it is meant to be this kind of softer, more intimate, personal love ballad, and the way that she gets that across is through that absolutely harrowing songwriting. I just love I'm thinking of you in my sleepless solitude tonight. If it's wrong to love you, then my heart just won't let it be right. Like, this song is drama. It is just drama. She will give her all. And again, just the way that she sounds singing the chorus, you really just believe her. You really just believe she has this yearning. Like, just one more night with you. I'd risk my life to feel your body next to mine, because I can't go on living in the memory of our song. Oh my god, I love that line so much. I literally love that line so much, the living in the memory of our song. I think that is so beautiful. And again, exemplary of Mariah's pen game. Her pen game is unmatched. I just think My All is so beautiful. It's a perfect song that you could just kind of put on and, again, chill out to, but it's also one that you could really get into. Like, I have cried to this song many times. I say that about, like, almost every song on Butterfly, but it's true. I've cried to this album a lot, and My All is one of them that I wouldn't say I've cried to it nearly as much as some of the other songs, especially the ones that I'll be getting into, but this is definitely one where if you're in your feelings, it absolutely will get you. She sang this when I saw her in 2018 or 2019. It was during the Caution tour, and I actually wasn't expecting her to do this one. I was like kind of shocked that she was doing it, because I think I looked up setlist from her previous tours just to like get an idea of what maybe she would do, and I don't remember seeing My All on a lot of them. Maybe it was there, I don't know. Maybe she did do them on her other tours. I can't really remember right now. I just feel like she didn't perform this one necessarily as much as her more, I guess, like obvious hits, and I just wasn't expecting her to sing it, and when she did, I like was taken aback. I was like, oh my god, my all, are you serious? Again, I don't know why I wasn't expecting it. I just kind of wasn't, but it was a very, very nice surprise. That was one of the highlights from that night. Number 5 is Butterfly, the title track. Butterfly is one of my all-time favorite Mariah songs. This top 5, like, this is very, very serious, dangerous territory. This top 5 is, like, among my favorite songs of all time. And, like, talking about them, literally, I could get emotional. And starting with Butterfly, like, when I tell you, this song literally just takes me there. It really takes me to heaven. I adore Butterfly so much. I think that it's absolutely an underrated Mariah song. And I hate to call everything underrated. I feel like I do call everything underrated, but I'm gonna save my seriously underrated card for Butterfly because I just feel like it doesn't get love nowadays, or like among non-Mariah fans, I feel like it's not quite as known about. And I just have to wonder why. Why is this not considered an all-time classic? I have no idea. People just don't have taste, I guess. Butterfly is so beautiful, and I just think it's a very interesting song because I feel like you don't see songs about this exact topic a lot, where it's her basically saying, I'm gonna let you be free, and if you want to come back, then you come back, but you need to be on your own and grow. You've become a butterfly. Like, literally, I'm legitimately getting emotional because it's so beautiful, and I love that topic. I just, again, feel like that's not something you see all the time in pop songs, and it makes the song that much more special. I seriously think some of her best lines are on this album. Some of my favorite Mariah Carey, like, verses are on this album, specifically the second verse. I have learned that beauty has to flourish in the light. Wild horses run unbridled or their spirit dies. Like, oh my god, it's just so, like, cuts to the core. That's what it is. It just, like, reaches into my soul. Like, I literally feel, like, emotionally touched by the song every time I listen to it. The first verse, too, especially. I really love the line, blindly I imagined I could keep you under glass. Now I understand to hold you, I must open up my hands. Again, I love it because it's her saying, as painful as it is for me to let you go, I have to because it would be what's best for you. Like, I truly love you, so I need to let you spread your wings and fly. And that works so well for this era for Mariah too, because she was spreading her wings, she was flying away, and she was finally getting out from under the thumb of her abusive ex-husband. And I just think that makes the song have such an emotional punch. It just seriously works as the thesis for this album. Like, I feel like papers have, like, theses, and this is the thesis for Butterfly. This is her stating her intention of what she was doing during this era. Just absolutely magnificent. The bridge is also the best bridge on the album. I feel like I could confidently say it is the best bridge. I physically can't listen to it without tearing up. Like, literally thinking about it and playing it in my head, I am actually tearing up right now because it's so gorgeous. And clearly Mariah loves the bridge too. She sampled it for her song Runway off of Caution, which was a bonus track, which I don't understand. Runway is such a good song. That should not have been a bonus track. Or I guess it's fine that it was a bonus track as long as it got released. I love Runway so much. And the fact that it samples Butterfly, which is another one of my favorite Mariah songs, is just legendary. Only queens could sample their own songs. Like, that is just such a Mariah move. When I heard her sampling Butterfly, I was like, oh my god, only Mariah would do this, but also a slay. So number 4 is Breakdown, Breakdown, steadily breaking me down, which is what the song does to me. I think Breakdown is truly one of Mariah's saddest songs, and I think the reason that it works so well is because it's kind of not exactly like a lot of other Mariah songs. I feel like when people think about Mariah, they stereotypically will think the big, powerful ballad, and she's expressing her emotions in the most bombastic way possible. But Breakdown is a very, like, quiet kind of moment. It's very detailed and intimate, like the rest of Butterfly, but in a very quiet and very sad way. Like, this song to me is like disappointment. That's what it is. It's like the feeling of disappointment, of not feeling good enough for someone else, or breaking down over you pursuing a relationship and it's not going anywhere. That's what it is. It's almost more sad to me than a lot of her other big, like, heartbreaking songs, because this one is very relatable. I think that's what it is. It's some of her most relatable songwriting. Who hasn't been in this situation? I always loved the line, "Friends ask me how I feel, and I lie convincingly because I don't want to reveal the fact that I'm suffering." I just think that's so cutting. Like, who hasn't been in the position of wanting to put on a brave face for other people and trying to say, you know, this situation isn't getting to me, but on the inside, you know that it's absolutely eating you alive? That is the brilliance of Breakdown. I feel like this is the most vulnerable Mariah song. I feel like you can relate on such a human level to this because, like I said, who hasn't been there? Who hasn't been trying to be nonchalant about it and going to extremes to prove that you're fine without someone, but you're losing your mind? Oh my god, it's just so good. It is just so, so good. Oh, I also love the line, underneath the guise of a smile, gradually I'm dying inside. Like, again, Thesaurus Mariah, like, she has that vocabulary, and the way that she gets these very specific phrases and words that so perfectly convey all of her emotions, absolutely brilliant. Just literally so brilliant. Breakdown is one of the best Mariah Carey songs. I will very gladly die on that hill. It's also so catchy. Like, how can you not have the little breakdown? How can you not get that in your head? It's so, so catchy and so smooth. The song is just very, like, smooth. I feel like it's just one of her smoothest, chillest tracks, and also one of her saddest tracks. Speaking of saddest tracks, number 3 is Close My Eyes. We are getting into very, very dangerous territory. Close My Eyes is just such a staple of my sad songs playlist. I don't know what I did before the song because it is such a go-to for me. This is one of those songs that, even though it's obviously extremely personal to the artist, it's written in a way that anyone else can relate to it. Like, I can relate to this song, and the crazy thing is, it's very specific to Mariah's experience, but that's what makes her such a great songwriter. Like, she can get her emotions across, but also in a way that you can relate to it. And Close My Eyes being about her childhood and feeling like she had to grow up and be an adult when she was still a child, basically, and just that loss of innocence from having to see the madness of the world around her. Like, I don't relate on that level. Like, I obviously didn't live that experience, but I just think, again, the magic of the song is that it's written in a way that you could still get meaning from it. And I just very much relate to the feeling of closing your eyes and sort of trying to go numb to all the bad stuff that's in your life as a defense mechanism. Like, I can relate to that a lot, and even though I don't really relate on the personal experience that she had, I could kind of sympathize with the emotions and how she had to put up this brave face and this wall at a very young age to just cope with the madness of everything. That is what makes Close My Eyes so, like, deeply personal to me. When I first heard it, this was another one of those songs where I just felt like the artist reached into my heart and extracted, like, my feelings. Like, it just felt a little too specific. Like, I just never heard a song that was really about this, or maybe I had and just didn't pay close attention to it, but I just think the song gets the point across so well. And I also just love how it sounds. Like, it really is just a gorgeous song. I love the little la da 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 da's during the chorus, and her more breathy, kind of whispered delivery on the song makes it work so well, because it's creating this very intimate atmosphere where she's taking you through this emotional journey that she's gone on throughout her entire life. And I think having that kind of softer delivery really amplifies the message, because you really do feel like she's recounting this story to you, specifically, like to you, the listener. And I just think that makes the song that much more impactful. And that is why Close My Eyes is just so good. It's a top 10 Mariah Carey song for me. And I knew that when I first heard it. Like, Butterfly was, I think, maybe the fourth Mariah album that I listened to. It was among one of the first, but when I heard it, I was like, this is going to remain one of my favorite Mariah songs. Despite everything else that I listen to, I know for a fact this will be one of my all-time favorites. And yeah, it still is. It's not going to be moving anytime soon. Number 2 is Outside. Speaking of songs that are written in a way that anyone could relate to, Outside is, in my opinion, the best example of that. It's literally Mariah's best written song for that purpose, in terms of being able to be relatable to everyone. I feel like pretty much anyone can relate to the song, because I genuinely believe at one point or another, regardless of who you are, you felt like an outsider looking in. You felt like you were not a part of the group, and you just had that feeling of isolation. And Outside is touching on that in a way that's deeply personal to Mariah, but again, can be related to by anyone. Obviously, it's about her experience of being mixed race and growing up with that and all the trauma that came with that. But this song has transcended to mean something to pretty much everyone that listens to it. I just don't understand how you can listen to the song and like not be touched by it, like how you do not have a soul if you do not cry to the song. I think literally every line of the song is just so perfect. It just so gets across the devastating isolation that she feels. The chorus, like, standing alone, eager to just believe it's good enough to be what you really are, but in your heart, uncertainty forever lies, and you'll always be somewhere on the outside. I cannot name one other song that gets the emotion of feeling like an outsider across as well as that does. I have never, ever heard a more well-written way of getting across that sentiment, and that is what makes Outside so special. It makes it such a standout in Mariah's entire discography. And then the second verse, when she says, early on you face the realization you don't have a space where you fit in, and recognize you were born to exist, standing alone. Like, oh my god, how can you hear this song? How can you hear these lyrics and just not like tear up? Oh my god, in the bridge where she's like, oh, and God knows that you're standing on your own, blind and unguided, into a world divided your throne. Like, oh my god, like the songwriting, Mariah's pen game is unmatched. Seriously, this is one of the most well-written, one of the most excellently produced, one of the best Mariah songs ever, period. Like, I just don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear anyone say this song is anything less than perfection. I actually don't respect that opinion. I respect everyone's opinions about everything. I will not respect that. No outside slander in my house. I will not be having it. This just really is one of those songs where it's a little too personal to me, that I feel like if someone doesn't like it, I just take it way too personally, and I'm just like, okay, you don't like me as a person. I get it. Not that that's ever happened. Not like I've ever heard anyone say they don't like outside. Like, that's not a situation I've come across, which I don't think I ever will because, like I said, it's literally a perfect song. How can you not like outside? So, yeah, this is just one of those songs for me. It is a staple of my crying playlist, and I will never get enough of it. It seriously is a core part of my soul. Number one is Honey. This is a funny number one because I feel like it's so the opposite of why I like a lot of the other songs. Honey isn't personal at all. It's not a song that I've ever cried to. It's not one that makes me feel all emotional. It simply is the bop of a lifetime. Like, I can't really say anything else about it. The song simply slaps. It's so, so good. This is my favorite Mariah Carey song of all time. Like, I just cannot ever contain myself when this song comes on. I love it because it's summery, it's breezy, it's light, but it was also this huge moment for her. To me, this is her I'm a Slave for You. Not because it's like that song at all, but more just because it represented that image change of her being sexually liberated and owning that part of her that was repressed before and breaking out of her metaphorical chains. And speaking of metaphors, this is the mother of all metaphors. It's just like honey when your love comes all over me. I love how non-subtle that is. I just absolutely love how in your face that is. And it's the fact that she gives it with such a sweet and like pretty airy vocal delivery that just makes it that much better. This is like such a sexy, slinky bop. And I just love every aspect of the song. I just think technically it is a perfect pop song. I love that little piano that I think really serves as the backbone of the song and kind of gives it its own personality. Like, I feel like Honey sticks in your head because it is just very memorable because of that piano. Like, you cannot get that piano riff out of your head. But I also feel like the production gives a lot of space to Mariah's voice. Like, it kind of takes a backseat to allow Mariah's delivery to come through, and she acts as her own character on the song. And that's what makes Honey such a moment for her. I feel like she was getting there with Daydream, where she was starting to become more of her own person and not so much of a controlled artist. But Butterfly was where she really came into her own and broke free again of the chains that she was under with her label and her husband. And I think the fact that the song is drawing a lot of attention to her playfulness and her kind of flirtiness and the fun side of Mariah, that just makes it so great because it works as this introduction to the newer version of her, where she finally wasn't afraid to be herself and show off that more playful side to her. And Mariah is a very like fun person. I feel like, well, not like I know her personally, but like I just feel like the way that she comes across in her interviews and the book that she wrote, like if you really know Mariah and have seen a lot of her outside of performing and her music, you just get it because she's just very funny. Like, she's just this really funny kind of playful soul, and that comes across very well on Honey. There is just this really cutesy playfulness to it that makes it so charming. Honey is just a very charming song, and at the same time it's also this extremely sexy and provocative kind of song, but it's not like it's trying so hard. Even though I said, yeah, it's very non-subtle with the metaphor, I feel like it doesn't shove it in your face. Like, it's not so trying to be shocking that it's distracting. I think it works as a Mariah Carey song first and as a shocking image change second. That is what makes it work so well, because I feel like a lot of the times artists will get it mixed up and they'll try too hard to be shocking, but they end up losing the soul of what made people love their music in the first place. Honey retains the Mariah style, but in a newer way, in a newer, more provocative way that makes it even more interesting and all that much better because it's a progression of what her style was, if that makes sense. I don't know if you're following. I feel like I make sense in my head, but I don't know if I'm making sense to anyone else right now. All that I'm saying basically is Honey works as a Mariah Carey song, and then it works as this big moment in pop culture where people were, I'm sure, shook by the direction that she was taking. Not like I was alive back then, but I would imagine that this was probably like scandalous back in the day. And I love that. I love a good scandal in my pop music. But Honey as a song in and of itself is literally just pop perfection. Like, this is just such a perfect song, and it just works on every single level. From that smooth production, the melody being so insanely catchy you can't get out of your head. Literally, it is a sticky song, like it will stick like honey. And Mariah's vocals throughout the whole thing just sound so good. She sounds so effortlessly sexy. All of it just comes together to make the perfect song. I truly believe Honey is flawless. Like, this is an 100 out of 10 song. It's just so good. It's so perfect for any occasion. That's the thing. I feel like it literally just goes off regardless of anything. Like, you want to chill out, you want to party, you want to read a book by the pool, you want to feel a little sexy. This is a very verse song. Like, it is just a very versatile song, and that is why I love it so much. Again, it's funny that it is my number one because all of the other songs that I love the most from this album are like deeply personal songs, and Honey is not that. Honey, I simply love it so much because it's just that good of a bop. Like, it is just that great of a song. Like I said, it's my favorite Mariah Carey song, period. I just love it so much. I got into the song, I remember it was 2016. It was the summer of 2016. And like, that made that entire summer. Like, when I think of that summer, I think of Honey, and I also think of Get Right by J-Lo because I was also obsessed with that song at the time. It was like those two songs just defined the entire summer for me, and honestly, Honey has stuck around, no pun intended, and is just such a staple summer song for me. Just an all-time classic. So that is my ranking of Butterfly. This is a pretty set list. I feel like it's been this exact order pretty much ever since I first heard the album in full. So yeah, I don't think that this is changing, but I would love to see what other people's favorites are. I feel like no matter which way you rank this album, I respect it. The only way that I wouldn't respect someone's ranking is if Outside was last. Genuinely, I'm being serious. Like, if someone ranked Honey last, I feel like I wouldn't even be mad at it because it's not like that's the most like personal song or whatever. But I feel like if you ranked Outside last, like, that's my child, and you just cannot do that to a minor. Like, I'm sorry, how could you possibly have that assault? Like, you should be in jail if you have Outside last. But that is my ranking of Butterfly. I'm sorry if I sounded weird in this video. I got a tooth pulled today, and I don't know if that makes your voice sound different, but I feel like I'm talking more weird than usual, so sorry about that. But let me know your guys' favorite songs from Butterfly, and I will see you next time.